Austin, there was a plan to install a train. And of course, trains are ubiquitous here, popular. I got here by train. It's a wonderful way to travel. In the United States, because everyone drives everywhere, no one wants to pay for a train. They don't want the tax dollars invested in a train. So it took more than 10 years. Federal money was approved, state money was approved, negotiation to create one train line in Austin. And the plan was for this one train line to open in Austin around March 2009. And I was actually in the agenda setting course, I think, at the time this happened. And I thought, well, this would be an interesting opportunity to study a local issue and local media in the context of need for orientation, relevance, and the
uncertainty.
Thank you, the need for knowledge. And so I thought I'd put this study together to look at it. And I'll give you a little information about the train. So we'll say if this is Austin, this is downtown Austin, and there's a city about 40 kilometers to the north called Leander. And the train was going to go from Leander down here over to East Austin and then downtown. East Austin is a traditionally poor neighborhood. It's a neighborhood that has very many immigrants. Fewer people have cars. Many more people there take buses, walk to get places. So East Austin, the train goes through there. We thought there might be interest in East Austin in using the train, and that's why it runs through here to East Austin. Leander, of course, we thought there might be interest because these people spend time on a highway every day trying to get downtown. Two other neighborhoods got involved in this, and I'll tell you why in a second. This is Dr. McComb's suggestion. I'll let him tell you about this neighborhood. I'm putting these on here geographically. We thought it might be interesting to ask people about the train and then see if interest in the train affected media use. There was a local news outlet, the local newspaper, that has a columnist and a reporter devoted exclusively to transportation. For more than 10 years, he has written hundreds of articles and columns about transportation. Many dozens of times mentioned the train, from when it was just an idea all the way through when it was supposed to be completed. Well, so this was supposed to open in March 2009. All of a sudden, the week it was supposed to open, they announced safety problems, and it was delayed indefinitely. They said, all right, we can't open the train. We don't know when we'll open the train. It's just shut down for the moment, and we'll see. And I thought, okay, this presents a unique opportunity to sort of set up a study around when the train starts running. And I thought it might be fun to do a survey before and just after the train started running. And so that's what I did. I set up the study design. In the interest of need for orientation, Dr. McComb suggested I look, rather than at all of Austin, I isolate 4 neighborhoods. So for the methodology in this one, I decided to isolate these 4 neighborhoods. 2 served by the train, or would be served by the train. 2 that would not be served by the train. This one, possibly. It's a little far from downtown. The train doesn't come through Barton Hills, but this is a middle class, it's an average neighborhood. This is a very wealthy neighborhood. People over here not only all have cars, they have nice cars. They drive Mercedes. So we thought there would be very little interest over here in the train. Then, of course, we wondered how interest in the train predicts news interest. And then the survey asked not only are you aware of the train? Where did you learn about the train? One of the news sources I put in the survey for the train was obviously the Austin American-Statesman with this columnist, also radio, television. But I also asked, did you go directly to Capital Metro, which is the agency that runs the train, or somewhere else to find out more information? Because I was curious where that fell in the agenda. And the train was supposed to start running in March. It just started barely 2 months ago, not even, I think.
No, it's running.
It's
I
running.
live right next by the train.
But it started a whole year later
Oh,
before
yeah.
it started. So the funny thing was, the joke was I was occasionally going back and revisiting my content analysis and updating it, and I had survey data from a year ago, and I kept waiting for the train to run so I could launch my second survey. But it was interesting. So a couple things happened. There were very big differences. One of my questions was interest in the train. So do you have interest in the train? And here's what we found. So who do you think was highest? Who do you think was lowest? And we'll see how big the differences were. This was just interest in it in general. Not would you take it, but was there interest in the train? I was actually surprised. This is a little bit high. And then East Austin, there's a bit of a jump. I thought there would be more interest here. And then this was no surprise. Anyone who drives to work from Leander was very interested in the train. One of the other questions I asked, by the way, was, are you concerned about being able to get on the train? And my thinking was people in East Austin would be concerned about the ability of getting on the train, because by the time it got here it might be full. And they're poor, they would very much like to take the train. But the people who were most interested were the ones in Leander, because the train only ran about once. It's not even, maybe once an hour.
It's once an hour.
In the morning.
And at peak time, it's, I think, half an hour or so.
So the concern was the train would be full. The one I wanted to take to get to work would be full, and I wouldn't be able to get on it. That concern was highest here, which surprised me a little. I thought it would be here, but that was interesting. And then as for agreement with the media, most people who were interested in the train were more likely to want to read the Austin American Statesman. So I did isolate this one news source that I predicted would be the main source for information. And as you were more interested in the train, you were more interested in that news source, and reported going to that website at least, or that newspaper, more often to get information, which was a central part. Interestingly, the most important questions in the media agenda, the most important issues were economy, legislative issues, education, health, crime, a mayoral race, other elections. Transit was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Transit was number 8. Transit was number 8 in the media agenda with 2% of stories. Transit was the number 2 issue for most important problem in my survey. Now, part of the reason is, this is no accident, I isolated neighborhoods where there was a dramatic increase in transit, much like the Chapel Hill study in 1968. I drilled the well in the right place, so I found a much higher interest in transit. But this study is ongoing, but the point I want to make is designing the study properly, like the Chapel Hill study, can enrich your findings.